Adventure Ho, Lumineers, and welcome back to another episode of DuckTale Dads. It is Ryan, as you can hear, joined by newest host on the podcast, Konnor. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we are just the two of us, tonight. And Nathaniel is busy with bedtimes. I'm sure his boys were out playing till the sun went down, and when the sun goes down, then bedtime start. And Mac lost his power because what's new in my world, are in the middle of a heat wave. Yay! So Konnor and I both grew up soccer players, as did Nathaniel. And in Minnesota, there is the largest tournament in Minnesota. It's called USA Cup. And it happens once a summer for a whole week. And every single summer, without doubt, you could set your watch by it if this was a day, but it's a week. It is the single hottest week of the entire year, the only week that USA Cup runs. And I didn't even know what week USA Cup was this year. And then I woke up yesterday seeing it was going to be 90 for about 7 or 8 days. And I thought, this must be USA Cup week. And lo and behold, I went online and checked, and it sure as heck is the USA Cup week. So here in Minnesota, we're fighting a heat wave. It's, we don't deal well with heat as well as we deal with some fall and spring temperatures or cold. But 95 with heat indexes over 105-ish, 110-ish, that's sweltering for anyone out there, I'm sure. And if you bear that heat much more frequently than you do, then kudos to you. And why do you live where you live if that's the case? But if you love it there, then I love that you love it. I will prefer to stay here and just deal with this for 1 week a year. Also new in my world, our AC went out. So Mac lost his power to the heat wave. We lost our AC. It's warm in here, let me tell you what. Thank goodness I'm in the basement. I'm partially underground as a part of this, and I'm insulated from the heat just a little bit. And the temperature did drop outside, so thank goodness there. On a Lorcana front, what else is there that's new except for the fact that set 13 is a mere few days away. Attack of the Vine is right around the corner, and I'm really excited. I'm pumped about this pre-release event. I'm hoping that I can find boxes at MSRP on pre-release because my wife and I love to pack rush. And I'm really looking forward to that because next week, starting on Saturday, we have a vacation planned. So we're excited to go on that vacation. We have people watching our house and taking care of things while we're away, but it'll be a good time for sure. And so we were hoping to do some pack rush while away on vacation. So here we are. We'll see if we can find boxes at MSRP because I'm not willing to feed the machine and pay much more than MSRP for some boxes. So we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed that we can find a good deal somewhere for us to enjoy some pack rush. Otherwise, I'll just have to work diligently to create some proxy decks that we can test with, or maybe I'll just have her get signed up for duels, but we'll see. Konnor, what's new in your world?
Yeah, first off, wow, you were not kidding. It is a heat wave and a half. I don't know if any of the listeners know, I am from Iowa, not Minnesota, and I also still was able to come up to the USA Cup several times in my youth soccer career, and I could definitely attest it was a sunburn warning scorcher every single time. And it's just, if you did not lather up in sunscreen, man, you were fried. And so, yeah, it is hot. And so what's new in my world? I would have to say we have gone to multiple splash pads over the weekend, and my kids have rediscovered the joy of just sprinting through a sprinkler. And it's just ice cold water. And at this point, I'm wading in. I don't really have a swimsuit on, but I'm just like, I gotta get cold. I gotta get cold. I gotta take the edge off. And wow, man, my kids are absolutely loving it. I've seen them run around excited before, but they were just cackling for hours. And it was fantastic. And we trying to fit in any sort of yard work during this heat is just obnoxious. I luckily got a new chainsaw for Father's Day and tried doing some work in our backyard because we had some emerald ash trees that had passed, take those down. And I spent about 45 minutes out there with the chainsaw, and my Fitbit said, "Congratulations on your vigorous workout. You spent 45 minutes in your active zone with an average heart rate of 150 beats." And it's like, yeah, it is hot. And we're just sweating unbelievably. So yeah, it is crazy.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
crazy here in Minnesota. But yeah, Man, the kids are loving the splash pads, and I essentially see a lot of splash pads in our very near future. So, from a Lorcana standpoint, I mean, as you alluded to, Ryan, I mean, again, there's not much besides just eagerly waiting. I'll tell you what, I am excited for where Lorcana is heading. I'm not gonna lie, maybe my wife doesn't like it, but I do take a peek at the TCG section every single time I'm at, Target or Walmart or Best Buy, just to take a look. And I haven't seen like anything in stock for Lorcana, Wilds, Winterspell, Whispers. Like it's barren out there, and I think it's just people are excited, and people are coming around and buying things. And as you mentioned, boxes at MSRP used to be just the expectation, never mind a hope. And so, unfortunately, I have to miss the pre-release this upcoming weekend, but hopefully I'll be able to get to one next weekend. But yeah, it's from a Lorcana standpoint. I'm just trying to play as much as I can and play some sealed, which we'll talk about here a little bit. But it is, yeah, gosh, it is so exciting. I cannot wait.
So I feel like we're going to talk most of the episode about sealed and what we've seen and what we're excited for and the pre-release events that are upcoming. So I wanted to jump in a little bit to what maybe we've seen in the core constructed front so far, namely because we have a major event coming up in a month and a half here in Minnesota. There's the Minnesota Anniversary event, the third annual anniversary event, August 22nd and 23rd at Game Center in Roseville, Minnesota. Sign-ups are open, events are posted, the schedule is posted. Mac talked about it last week. I don't have the details in front of me, but go check out Ravensburger Play Hub. Search for Game Center with a Z, and you'll find those events posted there for more information. But I'm pumped about that. I'm pretty sure there's a core. I'm pretty sure there's an Infinity, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, please. But please go check out those events. And with the core constructed, obviously being a major part of every single set from here on out, rotation is happening, and I think that obviously the metagame has been shooketh to its core. Not necessarily, in my opinion, not necessarily from the top, because I think the top is still the top. The top is stable. Don't think the top was touched by this shakeup. But everything underneath that is a whole new ball game. So right at the tippy top of the meta, the centerpiece of the meta, if you want to call it, the main standard pillar in the meta, is still going to be, in my opinion, number one top dog. No pun intended. Amber Emerald, but this time more of like a princess aggro version. We're just playing a ton of like discount characters and trying to play 2 characters per turn, but still churning out enough draw to sustain that. So playing things like Mike Wazowski and saying, I don't care how many cards you have, opponent. I'm going to play 2 per turn, and you can't remove 2 per turn, so I'm going to get multiple quests in out of multiple of these characters. Good luck. I'm going to beat you to 20 because you can't possibly keep up. And things like Willow to discount those Mike Wazowskis, things like Eleanor to draw even more cards, things like Nani to replace themselves. So I think Amber Emerald is still top dog in the meta. There's multiple different avenues you can take it. Konnor, you sent me a great list earlier last week of a different take on Amber Emerald. So then I was thinking through it, like what beats 2 characters per turn, questing out, drawing more cards, pinging more damage, gaining more lore. What beats that? Oh, a quick Under the Sea would kind of negate a lot of that impact. What can do Under the Sea the best and the fastest? Oh, same color combination, just different cards.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
So now both best decks are Amber Emerald, and we'll figure out. Obviously, I do not ever claim to be a good deck builder at this stage in my career, in my playing life. But somebody will figure out a good answer to Amber Emerald, or somebody is going to absolutely break Amber Emerald to the nth degree, and we'll see where the meta goes from there. But I still think Amber Emerald is the main pillar. I'm mostly thinking of the Princess Aggro version of the meta, and then kind of a counter meta pick would be the Amber Emerald control list that you played. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that list, or do you have any thoughts? Are you going to try to convince me otherwise that Amber Emerald is not top dog still?
No, I hate to say it because I was thinking about, what other deck can I play? And I've never really play tested, Amber Emerald very much. I was reluctant because I'm stubborn. I just didn't want to play the best deck, but at the same time, it is very, very much the best deck. So I was trying it out because, of course, I was going more of the toy route, with the Buzz and Woody legendary kind of shift combo and looking at that. And between all of, whether it's Besties Assemble and the Buzz and Woody and all the song, You Got a Friend in Me, and then just like the legendary Woody from this last set, like there's just so many ways to like draw cards. It is just I felt overwhelmed with the amount of options I had to draw cards. Usually it's like, oh, I need this ABC card, otherwise I'm kind of cooked. But there was at least 2 to 3 cards in my hand that could draw me more cards. It was silly. I think that there's a lot of tinkering I can do with it still. I can definitely talk about it a little bit more. One thing, there's another card that I don't know if anyone's really mentioned or have talked about, Ryan, but the 3 cost Todd, the one where it's a 1/2, but it says when you play the character, draw 2 cards and choose and discard a card. And so it's like, okay, so it's card draw and filtering, so you can get rid of your Under the Seas if it's like a mirror match or if it's like something where you're not going to be playing it, and you could get that out on too. It's you get down. It's just, yeah, so silly how many things can be done. But let me pull up the Amber Emerald toy deck here. I'll talk about some of the highlights. Let me grab this
Yeah,
here.
I'm really curious to hear more about kind of what decks you played against with that list, and kind of where you felt the PowerPoint was. Obviously, card advantage was a major powerful thing that deck did. So that's one thing. The new Buzz and Woody team up card, where when you play that card, you can draw cards up to the number of cards your opponent has in their hand. And then you get to play, whenever it quests, you get to play a character of 2 costs or less for free, or is it a card of 2 costs or less for free? So you can play actions out with it too. What is it? Do you know?
It is a play a card with a cost of 2 or less for free. Yeah, so it doesn't have
Play
to be
Besties
a
Assemble
character.
for free.
Really, and so
Play
that's
the best card in the
gosh.
set for free. Find your next draw option.
It is absolutely silly. I mean, really, one of the things that I was building around was kind of that shift line, but then things that I didn't recognize as really like powerful plays was the 4 cost Buzz, the uninkable, the new one, where it is when you play this character, choose one of the following. If you have another toy character in play, choose both, which is just great because of course you're going to have 1,000 toys. But it says you may return an action card with a cost of 2 or less from your discard to your hand, and then you may play an action with cost of 2 or less for free. So you could you play Besties Assemble. You search the top 4 cards for a character. No limitations. It could be that the shift, the tag team shift, and then you play Buzz. You get to replay it, like get it back, replay it for free. You just dug through 8 characters or 8 cards to find what you need. It's so silly, man. There's so much digging, so much card draw, and again, I am just reluctant to say that this is going to be the best deck, but I genuinely do think that there's just going to be so much speed and so much draw, and someone's going to break it. Someone's going to build an unplayable amount of spice, and I'm very much looking forward to it because I'm curious what it's going to be. I mean,
Yeah.
again, there's cards that the Mickey Mouse coming in, the from last set, the super rare coming in, exerted, being able to then quest 3 or 4 things and just melt your opponent's strength. That's great. But really, it's fun dropping the Buzz and Woody, being able to draw up your hand, especially if you time it correctly. It's phenomenal. And again, I mean, in this deck, you could tag either Buzz or Woody, and I believe there's, let's see here, 4 in my list at least. There was 7, 10, 13, 16 different Buzzes and Woodies. There's almost always going to be a shift target on board, and it's in this for shift 5. If you have a single grandmother Willow out, it's silly, and it's just
Crazy
silly.
work.
There's not much else I can say. What I played mainly into, I would have to say, was a lot of super decks, which can be causing problems at times. The one that caused me the most problems is something that I know that we talked about here recently. It was a blue steel Omnidroid set with the super rare from last set, Incrediboy. Yes. Oh, sorry, it wasn't Incrediboy. You could shift onto Incrediboy, but Syndrome, yes, where you're allowed to replay and bring back and play for free. Because of the addition of multiple different droids in this upcoming set, the list is actually very, very viable in my opinion. It can be a little bit high rolly, I think, but I got steamrolled a couple times by this Omnidroid lift. That seemed really fun, and so I'm definitely not giving up hope that there could be some stuff out there that could rival the Emerald Amber. super fast, either toys or pseudo dogs, whatever we want to do. Pocahontas dropping extra characters for free, and we're just playing 5, 6 different characters for free. But I think overall, it's going to be up there. It's going to be tough.
So you mentioned that Blue Steel list, and the new Omni droids that I think you're referring to is there's a 3-cost inkable 4/3 that when there's no damage on that character, it gets +2 strength. So you're playing a 6/3 for 3 ink, which is, first off, that's a lot of strength. Secondly, 3 is pretty flimsy. 3 is pretty flimsy at that point in the game. If you're playing any sort of like removal, it's going to take it out on curve. But then the big addition in my mind, for that Omni Droids list, is the 8-cost inkable. Is it an 8/8? I don't even remember what its stat line is.
8/8
inkable.
Resist +2.
8/8 resist 2, quest for 2. And it has extra text on there. It shifts for 6. And when you play this character, you may return all cards underneath them to your hand. So if you build a stack of Omni Droids, you play your 1-drop, you shift on 2, you play your 4-cost uninkable that pings 2 damage on something. Then you shift on top of that with your 6-drop Omni Droid, and then you shift your 8-cost Omni Droid on top of that, get your 1, 4, and 6 back, and then replay those stacks so you can keep pinging damage and playing wider characters. Just seems like this. You're adding a value engine to this as a payoff to this stack of Omni Droid characters. That being said, if you remove the stack at any point before that, you don't get any of that value. So there, obviously, it's a double-edged sword in that sense. But I do think that there would be some value and some merit to that list. It can sing all the removal songs that Steel has. It plays the Syndrome for the infinite value of the Omni Droids coming back from the discard pile. I think there might be some legs there. But that being said, I still think that Amber Emerald goes too fast. Like, you can just play 2 characters a turn and say,
That's
okay,
right.
ping one off, I'll quest with the other one, and then I'll play 2 more and take their place, and I'll draw more cards. It's just like, it's wild to me. It's just wild to me.
4 copies of 4 copies of Spooky Site.
Yeah, exactly. Just load up on Spooky Sites. The first board wipe just gives them more fuel. The second board wipe breaks their soul. That's the motto of every Amber Sapphire player out there right now. Find your Spooky Sites, find your Raging Storms, and get there as fast as possible without doing anything else. So you're down 15-0, and now you're playing with a handicap. Other lists, what beats Amber Emerald? So how do you beat this strategy that plays 2 characters per turn and shrinks all your characters and sings Under the Sea? Well, you don't let them shrink your characters, so you play Ward, right? That might be an option. One of the big adjustments in the meta from late in set 12 in Wilds Unknown was Blurple or Amethyst Sapphire decks playing Merryweathers, which is a 4-cost inkable 4/5 with Ward, a quest for 1, and Scuttles, which is a 5-cost inkable 5/5 with Ward, quest for 2. Main thing on those is not their lore pips, is the fact that they're warded, so they cannot be reduced. Their strength cannot be reduced because they cannot be targeted, and the high enough strength totals to be able to swing in and challenge away every single character that the Amber Emerald decks are playing. So if you just need to find a way to force them to be sideways in front of you, so you can swing your ward characters in. So I think that was a big adjustment. So Blurple does not survive rotation in its previous form, right? Because you're losing your 2-drop Inkable Tipo, which is a 1/2 that lets you place an additional card in your Inkwell face down from your hand. And you're losing your 2-drop Inkable Sail the Azure at Sea, which draws you a card, and you can ink again for that turn. Crazy power level on that card, too. So you lose this consistency, so how do you replace it? So I would like to propose a Ward Blurple list that could potentially replace our old Blurple that everybody knew and loved at the end of that set. So let me just share my screen here for those that are following along. Bear with me for just a moment. I want that. Thank you very much. And can we see the screen, Konnor?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so we're still playing our 1-drop line. You have your Louisa with your shift line, just a couple of copies, because our main damage mover is our Cheshire Cat. We have our Fauna, just to make sure we can get our Mickey Mouse, our 3-drop uninkable 1/3 that lets you ramp an extra card from the top of your deck. Get that to a respectable strength total to start challenging things down and not just be a wet noodle out there. Then you have your 2-cost line, because we have to play something on 2. Maybe it's another 1-drop, but you have your Darkwing Duck, and we're specifically playing this because it has Ward, and it's 4 strength. So even though it probably only challenges once, if that one challenge happens to be, I don't know, Eleanor, great. You're feeling like you're over the moon. If it happens to be a Grandmother Willow, you're probably still okay with that because Grandmother Willow is a crazy strong card. And then you have your Cheshire Cat on 3, you have your Mickey Mouse on 3, and then in addition to Mickey Mouse, now the consistent is not trying to ramp on 2, now it's trying to figure out a way to ramp on 3. So you want to play your 1-drop, play a Darkwing Duck, and then if I scroll down, one of the songs that we're playing, just a couple copies of One Jump Ahead for that Darkwing Duck to sing. You have a warded character, you're going to stick it. If something challenges in, you're taking it out anyways. Feels fine to have to sing One Jump Ahead with a warded 4-1. And so that's your extra additional consistency there. Maybe that goes up to 4 copies in the final list, but maybe it doesn't. I wanted to put in some ink runners, and so I took out the 1-jumps to play the ink runners because, as you may notice, we no longer have any evasive characters. Uh-oh. No Dumbos, no Svens. Elsa rotated out. Mrs. Incredible is a fantastic card, but we decided to go a different direction just to test it out. We are still playing the Ward characters with the Merryweather and the Scuttle, so that's a fun little addition. Still playing your Hades, still playing your purple Hades, still playing your Demonas, still playing your blue, your 7-cost uninkable 3/6 and spot removal Hades. And the interesting little tech that I wanted to test out was the 5-cost inkable 3/4 Ursula Voice Stealer. Quest for 1 with the ability Sing for Me. When you play this character, exert chosen opposing ready character. Then you may play a song with cost equal to or less than the exerted character's cost for free. So using that Ursula not only as an exert effect, but also to then make your opponent's Eleanor sing you a Colors of the Wind and draw you cards off of their character, and then use one of your warded characters, maybe your Merryweather, maybe your Scuttle, or maybe you have Fauna, or maybe you have a Darkwing Duck still sitting around, but use something to challenge down and remove your opponent's Eleanor when it comes out. And hopefully most of this survives. Obviously the Fauna is chopped liver when Eleanor hits the field, but hopefully you have enough other characters to take that out. If you happen to find a 5-cost character on your opponent's side of the field, then we still can have your opponent sing Let It Go on themselves, which doesn't feel that bad. If they have 2 big characters, exert one down, sing it on the other, and challenge into the other the big character that's now exerted. Still playing your consistent draw options with Junior Woodchuck Guidebook because you can't get away from it. So now we have Woodchuck Guidebook. We have Ink Runners. We have Colors of the Wind. We have Demona. We have Purple Hades. We have... That's all for our draw engine. But it's still there. It might work, maybe. I haven't really tested it yet. Some people think One Jump Ahead is a dead card. I think that if you have a warded 2-drop singer that can sing it, that has 4 strength, it probably doesn't feel bad to have that removed by something because it's at least a 1-for-1 and it ramped you a card. Great. If you don't want to ramp then and you happen to have both One Jump and Mickey, then just play the Mickey and have the Mickey sing One Jump then to get rid of it out of your hand. Nonetheless, I think that there might be something here. That being said, it's possible that this is just a terrible list and it doesn't work at all. That's fine too. At least we gave it a shot. Konnor, what are your initial thoughts on this?
I love it. Again, you know me. When it comes to anything new, I'm always willing to give it a shot. And especially with this is actually looking pretty nice. I'm quite impressed. I am already frustrated. I haven't played against it yet. I'm already frustrated because of all the board. And so it is something that is daunting to look at. But what I am kind of drawn to immediately is between the 2 costs, whether it's like the 1-jump or Darkwing Duck. Previously, ramping on 2 and hitting it successfully still used to feel a little bit slow. And so like if against the correct, like if you're on the draw against like a dog's deck or another just super low to the ground Emerald Amethyst Burn, sometimes it still felt like it was too slow, or you just avoided it altogether. And so I'm hoping that this doesn't fall into that realm, relying on Mickey. So I was thinking maybe like more copies of 1-jump, but then you're pushing more than 10 uninkables, and that's a little bit tough. However, besides the ramping on 2 issue, which again I think this every blue player, Sapphire player is thinking of like, can we fix this? Can we do something else? I'm looking at the force exerts between your Ursula and your Demonas. That's another way to just simply say, oh, you're not going to turn them sideways? Too bad. And I love the Ursula combination. Yeah, combination with So, Colors of the Wind. I think that's phenomenal. Before you even scroll down, I was like, oh, please be colors. Please be Colors of the Wind. Because I think that is brilliant to be able to say, like, oh, we'll exert you, give me cards, and we'll be able to knock out your valued character you have it turned sideways. I think that's a gem because it's a win-win and a lose-lose for them. Ah, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I would love your Luisa Madrigal to just absolutely fry. I think that is a slept-on card. Definitely discovered, or not discovered, but in our group of friends discovered by you, Ryan. You definitely pointed out how much it could be useful, and we were like, oh yeah, it's decent, but with the proper utility and the warded characters being able to just like leave damage on them, indefinitely, it's fantastic. I think that the ability to kind of move things around and ping, 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 knock out a character I think it's great. So I'm really impressed. I'm probably going to take this deck list for a spin myself and see how it feels. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's all. I have no qualms against it. Besides, I hope it's not too slow, and I think this is a great take on a post rotation Blurple. Very very impressed.
Yeah, I tested the Luisa Madrigal in Wild Unknown. Obviously, just to see how it felt. Just felt a little slow. The shift target is not quite strong enough to really deal a lot of damage to a lot of different things. Wasn't quite versatile enough for me. So I went a different route for set 12 with Royal Guards instead of those little Luisas, and then just slotting in just using Cheshire Cat and leaning on that heavily for damage movement, and then slotting in other characters in this 5-cost slot. But we figured it would see how it goes. So it gives you another option on 3 if you happen to find Luisa, Darkwing Duck, and don't have a Cheshire Cat. You can still play something on curve that would potentially impact the board in the Luisa. And if they have things turned sideways, because they're just trying to dare you to turn sideways as well. So I thought that was an interesting. That's why I wanted to include it there, just to see how it feels in this set. Because I do think with rotation, I think inevitably other than the super hyper aggro decks, Amber Emerald, here's looking at you. I think the meta as a whole slows down a little bit, and that's for sure what we saw with Fabled. It slowed way down. Big decks were able to play massive 3-card, 4-card combos in order to just get into the game. And they didn't feel that slow. So I think that, yes, it does look quite slow. This list does look quite slow. But really, you're not trying to get to your 4 drops anymore. You're trying to get to your 5 drops. And Merryweather's still in there simply because Merryweather's so good. So good as a 4-cost character. I didn't want to take out more copies of it. I wanted to leave 4 copies of it because whether it's Merryweather or Scuttle, as long as something sticks after you ramp, you're good to go. That's what we saw with Blurple from set 12, and that's kind of where I think it's headed still. Just having some sort of board presence there to impact the board is important. That being said, that's one option that I was trying to cook up. Got some feedback from a friend of the podcast, Christian, that said, 1 jump sucks, play something else. What if we just don't do that? I said, let's give it a shot. Let's at least give it a chance. You might be right, but let's give it a chance so I can see how bad it is. That's one option that I came up with. Another option that I was noodling on, this is not my list, but this is something that I've been noodling on, is what if we just sing down the Amber Emerald characters? We don't have to challenge them if we just sing them away. Or throw snowballs at them. I think we know where this is going now. So let me get back to sharing. I want this list now, and this is a list from Inkwell Gaming. He titled it Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride. Effectively, I was looking for something that is playing the shift target. Let me slide this over. All right, can you still see the list? Lovely.
Yes.
The shift target with the new Lilo and Stitch from set 13. That is a 5-cost inkable 3/5 with 3 lore. It shifts for 3. It has resist +1, and it has support. So you can make your little, as Nathaniel likes to affectionately call them, weenies, challenge for a lot. Then the other idea is play something on 1, play your 2-drop singer on 2, find your song on turn 3 with Mei-Lin Lee, and then go from there. Hopefully you're able to sing a Kood. Still have your Kood, you have your World's Greatest Criminal Mind, you have your Strengths, your Thunderbolts, and then they also play this very interesting look at this family as a card advantage option, and it's a Sing Together 7, and it's a 7-cost inkable action song. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and pick any 2 character cards, reveal them, and add them to your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. I mean, sing together, draw two sounds pretty great to me. I'd love that to be able to pick and choose. But really, where I think the power into a Amber Emerald list lies is by getting an early Angel out and starting to throw snowballs left and right, and maintain enough card draw and card replacement to be able to sustain that for an extended period of time. And on top of that, he doesn't have it in this list, but there's a new two-cost inkable action from set 13. I don't remember what it's called, but I know that when you discard it, you can still play it from your discard when you've discarded it, pay all costs, so you pay the 2 ink, and you can deal 2 more damage to something. So now Angel becomes a 2-cost Thunderbolt, but split into 2, which is even better against a list that's trying to play multiple characters per turn. And this is like the only thing I could think of that could possibly deal with more than one character on each turn. If they're constantly playing 2 characters per turn, you can throw a snowball. Hopefully it's one of those 2-cost actions, and then ping that down, ping a second character down, and then maybe if they turn something sideways because they were confident they were going to be able to do that, then you could challenge in, or you just have another song to sing. Like maybe you have a Thunderbolt, so now you can remove 3 things in that turn because you throw a snowball with Angel. It happens to be that action. You ping something else with the action, and then you sing the Thunderbolt with Angel, draw a card off of your aerial, and now you're off to the races in Magic Fairyland, where everything goes your way and nothing punishes you. So I don't think that this is a refined list, but this is one interesting idea that I was noodling on, and this is just a good representation of what it might look like. Thank you to Inkwell Gaming for putting this list out there in a public setting. Konnor, what are your thoughts on Amber Emerald? Any adjustments or changes, or what do you think is going on here? Is it viable? Does it have a chance against Amber Emerald dogs, or is it just going to get cooked by everything out there that tries to beat it?
No, I think this is quite viable. The one thing, so again, before I even give any assessment on this, I do want to point out the differences between a seasoned veteran such as Christian and myself, where he's like, "Oh, one drop's horrible, don't play that." Where my first comment was like, "Oh, maybe play more one drop." So it just goes to show there's different perspectives and definitely different levels to this. So take what I say with a grain of salt. However, I do love the Gaston. The when played, it's essentially a Dragonfire for 5 strength or more opponents. I think that is great. I absolutely love it, especially with how many support characters are out there. You can play World's Greatest Criminal Mind. You can play Gaston, and you can also there's the Minnie Mouse from Fabled, where when she's exerted, you can ban it. Like when she quests. When she quests? Yeah, you could banish an exerted character with 5 strength or more. And so there's a few different ways to go ahead and banish those characters. I think it's interesting including 2 in this list. It seems almost like it's a different approach to. It's a different style. It's like right now it seems like trying to sing song, and then randomly we have the 5 strength or more, which I mean it makes sense for some matchups, but I can definitely see this struggling against your Blurple matchup that you just created, considering that almost nothing will be a target. So I do think this has viable legs, but as you mentioned, Ward is becoming pretty prevalent, and so I would be hesitant to go all in. But yeah, I think this is actually quite nice. And your point about Angel now hitting for 3 is a little scary, but I think that's change is coming, and it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to just get destroyed by new stuff. And that's it. I think I want to lose in more creative ways, and just because I need to know what's out there, I need to know what I can lose to, just so I can then prepare in the best way possible. But the one other thing I want to add is that they can sing the Madrigal song. What is it? Family, what is it called?
Look at this family.
Look at this family. I kept getting that figured. There's a lot of Madrigal songs, so I couldn't remember what that one was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at this family. You could sing that on turn 3 if I'm not mistaken, because you can shift your you can play like a 1-drop Stitch, play something else, and like shift your Lilo. Or Lilo Stitch tag team, and then sing this song in a pinch to go digging for more stuff. The only thing that stinks is that it says 2 character cards rather than just 2 cards. And so if you do end up like hitting 3 or 4 songs out of your 5, and it's like, oh, yikes, okay, there goes my removal for the next 4 turns. And so it's just it could be a little painful. However, yeah, this definitely has a lot of legs, and I I'm hesitant because of all the ward, but I do think this could be really good.
Yeah. So you mentioned a lot of new stuff is coming, and obviously the way that starts is through the pre-release events. So I wanted to take some time now for us to chat about what we're looking forward to. If there's any specific sealed cards that you've experienced that are absolutely broken, that are going to win games, matches, lifetimes of success in sealed events. What have you seen out there so far? You mentioned off camera before we started recording that you had done a little bit of sealed online, and so I've also done a little
Yep.
bit of sealed online, and I've had some pretty great packs, and I had some pretty bad packs, or I did poorly with them. I suppose I was just not a good enough player to identify the power in them. So what have you seen out there, Konnor? What have been some of the all-stars, and what have been some of the low lights of your sealed experience so far?
Yes. Yes. So before I jump into this, I do kind of a prediction and hope for Sealed this upcoming weekend and following weekends. And in conjunction, an ode to our previous episode, we do have to apologize to the listening community. We missed out on a very, very strong connection between DuckTale Dad Max potatoes he was cooking, or not cooking, but hypothetically cooking because he's growing 150,000 potatoes, and the newest potato item, and Posey, the shift target onto an item. I don't know how we missed it. We're all dads. We're disappointed in ourselves. Please forgive us. However, if somebody pulls off a Posey shift line on me and she is in sealed, it will be a very hard moment for me to not simply say, okay, you win. That was cool. Like, that's it. A scoop. Let's go to the next one, because I think that is just hilarious. I think it's so funny, so niche, but a shift potato, it's great. I absolutely love it. So for anyone who pulls it off against me, the shift potato line, enjoy your win. But back
You heard
to
it here first.
more of the
Demand the scoop, everybody. If you pull off a shift Posey on Konnor, demand the scoop.
I will honor it. I will honor it. Shift Posey, done. So, looking into some of these sealed cards, yes, I have been able to play a little bit, not as much as I would love to. Things that I've enjoyed, I was, fortunate enough to have a couple different Maleficents and the Diablos where they'd play off of each other. The one cost and two cost combination where if you have Maleficent in play, and with the Diablo, like the Maleficent gets resist +1, and so it's kind of nice. She's a 2/2 on a 1-drop, so a lot of times people will like play a 1-drop. They'll turn there sideways thinking they're safe, like either it's going to be a trade or whatnot, and then playing the Diablo, then swinging in. It's kind of nice little board switch. That was a fun little combination. The other combinations that I am just absolutely loving. I can't remember exactly the name of the song, but it's for the honey decks essentially. The 6-cost purple song.
With a few good friends.
Chosen player draws a card for each different ink type of characters you have in play. I think that is born for sealed. That is incredible. I mean, granted, the honey deck, I've tested it out. It is actually pretty fun, and it can do crazy things. But in sealed, this is great. You're obviously going to have like 3 different ink types, and so I think that this is a very fun draw potential. But being able to play this, sing together with all your few good friends in a sealed deck is kind of thematic. I love it. But I think to me, the one that takes...
Can I jump in here quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
So to go along with that, with a few good friends song, great sing together 6, draw a million cards, up to 6 cards, I suppose. Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, the 5-cost inkable 3/4 that shifts for 3, and this character gets +1 lore for each different ink type of characters you have in play. So it starts off because it's a dual ink Amethyst Sapphire card. You have at least 2 lore every time you play it, and then obviously for sealed that you're not restricted to ink colors, so you could be playing all the way up your curve, playing a different ink color every turn, and then your 5-cost character is the final 2 ink colors, Amethyst and Sapphire, and then on turn 6 you get to quest for 6, which is another one of those, if they pull that off, you're kind of like,
cool,
I guess I lose now.
Yeah.
That's just a lot of lore in a single fell swoop. They've got plenty of characters left over. So that's another one that I think this is, obviously it's tuned for the honey deck, which is phenomenal in its own right. But I think it's also specifically tuned for a limited experience, for sealed or draft where you're not ink restricted. You can play all the ink colors and have this character in there. It's just a giant bomb. It's hard to interact with. Your opponents probably already used their removals on everything else you've played to that point. So maybe you're not questing for 6, you're only questing for 4, but still you're questing for 4, which is still incredible. It's going to stick around maybe. If you probably won't stick around, you probably get 1 quest out of it because of the nature of where it is and how it's understated. But it's a lot of lore in one fell swoop, and it's one of those, like, I don't even care if I win this. If I get to quest for 6 because I have all the ink types on my board, I feel like I compiled, for all the old Yu-Gi-Oh fans, compiled Exodia, and I should just win, but you don't because it's the Lorcana and we don't play that way. But I just wanted to interject and include Winnie the Pooh
absolutely.
in that conversation with a few good friends.
What
were you going to say in addition?
Poorly statted. I mean, it's a 3/4, and it's a 5 cost too. And what's nice is that it's not an on play. It's not like, oh, when you play this character, it just simply says just at all times it gets the plus lore. So you could just simply play it without having shifted and have it just completely close out the game. No, I think it's a great card. But what I was going to say, the one that takes the cake for me, I got completely done up by the Horned King legendary card, where while exerted, you are allowed to play character cards from, or is it character and other cards? I can't remember what it was. Just characters. So you can play characters from your discard. You play them. You pay the cost, which is fine. However, they have the Horned King in conjunction with the Poeton's Staff, which allows you to pay 1 and give the next character that comes into play Bodyguard, and they come into play exerted. So this person was just cycling and cycling and cycling. They have the droid that pings for damage. Whenever I removed it, they just simply played it again, and I couldn't get past multiple Bodyguards because whenever I swung into something, my character either didn't survive or I didn't survive the next turn, because then it's their turn and they just take one of them out, wait for me to do it again, but they just outdrew me. Essentially, they didn't have to draw cards. They just played it from the discard. So the endless recycle was just something I thought was daunting, and quite frankly, something you probably really only pull off in sealed. However, I do think the Horned King may maybe have some spice in certain decks, as Ryan and I had talked about off cameras. Like if you play them in the end game, like in a Amber Sapphire deck where you have a ton of ink and you have it stick, you can turn it sideways. This potential is unlimited. So I think that there are so many different options. Obviously, the ones that you probably didn't want to stick, you don't want to see are the main Miley. I can't remember how to pronounce it. However, the 3 cost, you on play, you get to look for your songs. It's good in that the Amber Steel deck that we just looked at. However, obviously it's sealed, you're not going to be having too many songs. But again, I think there's a couple things that are very synergy specific. In draft, great, love it. However, in sealed, like just it's not ideal.
If you happen to open good enough songs to try to find a song, great.
Right.
The other thing with that, it's a Malin Lee 3 cost inkable, 2/3 quest for 1. Search for the top 4 and pick a song or a Red Panda card. So if you have a ton of those Red Panda shift characters, that temporary shift mechanic's kind of interesting. It might be fun to play around with for sure. Otherwise, they're just big characters to fill out your top end of your curve. So I think that's one thing that you could, that is another caveat there, is if you have a bunch of Red Pandas or you have a bunch of songs, or if you have both, then that Malin lead becomes very, very good at finding a card very consistently for you. One thing that I was fortunate enough to do in one of my sealed packs or sealed runs online was open a Peter Pan and Tinkerbell team-up card. Ooh. And let me tell you, I think that card single-handedly won me every single game in that long run. I mean, it is such a burden to deal with. The fact that it's a 4 strength character. It is a 5 strength, 4 willpower character. So all of your Gastons are going to hit it. But otherwise, your opponent has to challenge in, and the best alert character is a 4/5. That's the Robin Hood. That's a Floodborn Vineling. That's a 5 cost inkable 4/5 quest for 2, and it gives all your Floodborn characters alert. But the other Floodborn characters aren't going to be that big at that time in the game, and so now you're trading 1 for 1, and your opponent still has all the rest of their board to deal with. And if you happen to turn that Robin Hood sideways and they take it off, well, now Peter Pan and Tink just get to run away with it, and you can't touch your opponent's board. And that's effectively what had happened to all my opponents. I would play the Peter Pan and Tink, everything would have evasive, and I just go, all right, I'm going to turn sideways. You have 2 turns to figure this out, and if you don't, I win. and I'm going to take some positive trades along the way to keep you from winning, and it's just, and you can't do
man.
anything because I'm evasive. I think that's where that specific card, Peter Pan and Tink, might be the reason people start selectively opting for Windstorm, a 4-cost inkable steel action that deals 1 damage to every character and location, and then deals 2 more damage to every evasive character and every evasive location on the board, on your opponent's board. And so that's not even clearing the Tink, but at least Peter Pan and Tink team up, but at least they're now have 3 damage on them, so you can do anything else to them. Maybe one of your 1-cost evasive evasive characters is going to be able to challenge them, or something. There's the Dash that can potentially do it. The Violet and Dash team up could potentially take care of Peter Pan and Tink, but it's just such a good card. It did so much heavy lifting for me. I would just be making misplay after misplay, find a way to stumble my way into a Peter Pan and Tink with like 2 or 3 other characters on board, and just go, all right, I win. In like 2 turns. So that's one thing to look out for, is make sure you have, as always, but especially make sure you have evasive answers, because if your opponent has Peter Pan and Tink in their deck, I'm sorry, it's an uphill battle for you. That's a very, very strong card in sealed or draft for that matter. So I would like to have as many Peter Pan and Tinks as I can in my deck. That'd be great. If I had 3 or 4, fantastic, phenomenal. I would feel like you're off to the races. Just find a way to get to 6 and you're golden, and just play that on curve.
Wow. Yeah, that's another card. That's a good one.
Yeah. The other thing that I got absolutely demolished by was, I think, what I was calling in the heated moment of me being very frustrated about it, the greediest list I'd ever seen. We were playing, going back and forth, normal curves. They inked a potato at one point, and I went, uh-oh. And then we just kept playing, and eventually they got more resources than me. They found a way to ink their way up to 8, and they played. Posey is an 8 or a 7? I think it's an 8. 8 shift 5. But yeah, 8. They inked their way all the way up there, and they put that. They had 2 cards in hand. They inked one to go to 8, and I thought, no, there's a Posey. And I happened to have a Gaston in hand, and I thought, oh, I'm good. I have Gaston. I'm gonna be okay. Played the Posey, Gaston it. Next turn, top deck another Posey. I'm like, who builds their deck like this? And then they had another 7 cost and another 7 cost, and I'm just like, what is happening here? Who builds the greediest this greedy? They played like 5 or 6, 7 or more cost characters, and I just thought, how can I not possibly punish this? This is unreal.
Posey's 7.
So I got absolutely cooked by that.
For confirmation,
it's a 7 cost.
Posey is 7, yeah. Okay. Which is still though multiple Posies, and then being like, yeah, I'm going to include both of these.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So it goes.
That's
sometimes
how it happens.
is a very, very well stated character. 7/8 quest for 2 is fantastic.
And it shifts on
Nothing's bigger than that. I think that's the biggest card in the set, other than the Vine. Who's going to play the Vine?
10/10. I will auto scoop. You know, one thing I haven't done this research myself, so I forgive me if some of it is obvious. But besides like Gaston, is there other spot removal? I mean, I know there's some like deal 2 damage or deal 3 damage, or what do we have here that is essentially for our listeners out there? What are the cards that if you see it, you're like, that's it, I gotta keep it? Because like last set, or the it was Let It Go, right? You're like, oh, boom, done, gotta have it, gotta keep it. You know, there are things that are auto saves into your deck. Do you know of any offhand?
Yeah, there's 2 in Ruby for sure. One is the Red Alert, which is a 4-cost inkable action that is a targeted banished chosen character with 3 strength or less. And if you have a monster character in play, your chosen opponent loses 1 lore. So if you happen to have a monster, then great, that's bonus. But really, you're playing it for, it's a bigger brawl. The other thing that is out there in Ruby is a 7-cost uninkable Red Moon Ritual. It's an action song. It is a sing together 7, and it banishes a chosen character. So that is another like auto include. If you see it, you're going to want to include that just as a removal option. It is uninkable, but it is sing together, so it's a little offset. You're probably going to be able to sing it on turn 5 pretty reliably. Just don't turn your 3-cost sideways after you play your 4-cost. That's about it. You're probably not going to run into any issues in trying to get that out on curve if you wanted to get it out on 5, but I would recommend saving it until your opponent plays their 6 or 7 drop characters or their 3rd Posey of the game. Because that's when you get a lot of value out of Red Moon Ritual, but it is very strong removal. Otherwise, there's Windstorm. There's a couple of Emerald cards. One is a called it's 2-cost inkable action, piercing attack, deal 2 damage to chosen character. This damage cannot be reduced by resist, so that's kind of important. So that you're kind of going through resist on that, and then otherwise there's a bunch of bounce things that I think you would love.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's Put That Thing Back, which is a 4-cost inkable action song. Return chosen character item to their player's hand. And that was the one that I was thinking of in that regard. Otherwise, I don't know how much other removal there is.
Yeah, there's not much.
One and Only is interesting if you have good cards and your opponent also has those same good cards. One and Only is a 3-cost inkable action. You choose a character, banish all other characters with the same name as that character. And for those that are not yet fully up to speed on the exact rules or what constitutes a name, the name is the big bold letters that a character would be called. So things like Robin Hood. Robin Hood is the name of that card. Any other card that includes the name Robin Hood on it, or that is named Robin Hood, would then get removed. If you happen to have a Buzz Lightyear and your opponent has the shift, Buzz and Woody, that shifted card carries both names, Woody and Buzz. So if you play One and Only on your Buzz Lightyear, then that shifted Buzz also would be banished. If you have the shifted team-up card, so say you have Buzz and Woody on your side of the field, and you play One and Only on that Buzz and Woody, and your opponent happens to have a Woody and a Buzz, both the Woody and the Buzz would then be banished, because your character that has Woody and Buzz has both names separated by an ampersand. When there's an ampersand, it has 2 names. And so it qualifies as both characters for that purpose. So One and Only is one that could be another removal card. Otherwise, I don't know about any good hard removal out there. Mostly just Red Alert, Nerd Ritual, and Gaston.
Yeah, I don't think there's much. I feel like there's definitely going to be decks where you just don't see it in your 6-packs. So I think it's going to be really interesting. It creates some strategic changes you might have to make. I'm not going to be able to remove just like their big tank. Maybe Poeton's Staff is kind of an underrated card. Give something bodyguard. There's not much to just simply remove it. If it's like a 8/8 posy, it's like, okay, deal with this big potato. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity and strategy that goes into it. But those removal cards are quite important. I do have a question for you, a little bit more fun. How many Madam Mim hummingbirds do you need to see before you disregard the uninkable count in your sealed deck?
This is a very good question, and it's a very interesting thought process. The fact of the matter is, there's not enough good uninkable cards that I want to be playing to have it matter at all.
That's fair. That is very fair.
I have taken advantage of that. I have played the hummingbird, and I'm going to find the name of it for our listeners.
Madam Mim Hummingbird. That's it. Madam Mim Hummingbird. 2-cost emerald. Yeah, Madam Mim. 2-cost emerald. 1/1 evasive that says all cards in your hand count as being inkable. And so this is very similar to the Emerald Inkcaster. Is it Inkcaster? Was that what it was? No. From Ursula's Return.
I'm blanking. I'm sorry.
Hidden Inkcaster. And so
there you go.
The Hidden Inkcaster was allowing you to essentially ink uninkable cards. And so the Madam Mim is going to be interesting. I'm really curious to see what you have to say.
I did take advantage of it one game where I had this uninkable low-cost character I didn't want to be playing. I needed to get to 6 ink. Decided I'm just going to go a 2 and a 4 this turn, so I'm going to play the Hummingbird, ink my uninkable, and play the 4-cost so I could play my 6-cost the next turn. So I did take advantage of it. But like I said, there's not enough uninkable cards that are good enough for me to want to play them. And there's not a high enough density of them in any sealed pool that I've opened so far, or online open so far, that I would be having this as a special consideration. I'm probably including it more because it's an evasive card than the second line of text that's on it that allows me to ink uninkable cards. That's probably more just cherry on top sugarcoating.
Oh yeah.
But the evasive is what I'm really interested in.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. 1/1 is a little small, but I do think it's quite interesting. If you just end up having a ton of uninkable cards, it makes the Red Moon Ritual a little bit less of a daunting card to include at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm very curious. I mean, again, I kind of forgot that card existed. I wonder if that's going to see any competitive play when it comes to include it like an Emerald Steel or something along those lines, because there's a fair
Red
amount
Moon
of things
Ritual?
that can be included.
Or the Madam Mim?
No. Madam Mim Hummingbird.
Oh, sure.
I feel like it'll be fun. Granted, there's gonna be a lot more ways to answer, but I still think that there's gonna be some fun space for it. But yeah.
I don't think it survives in core because Eleanor exists. So it's
Oh
just
yeah,
Eleanor fodder. It's
man,
bad. It's
Eleanor.
bad for that reason. You need at least 2 willpower on everything that you're putting in your deck now. The fauna is probably even risky, but it has enough other
Yeah.
uses that I think it might be worth it.
Boo.
But yeah, Eleanor exists, so that's a dead card pretty much. Probably not going to get played
Yeah.
in core, but
So
I could see it get played pretty frequently in sealed or limited environments where
yeah,
it's just attack of the mind,
absolutely.
because there's
Makes it
not.
think
It
a
is
little
just
bit
a
easier.
1/1 for 2, but there's not a whole bunch of evasive answers
Yep.
or evasive characters in general. There's a couple of I think there's 2 1/1 1-cost characters maybe. There's this Madame Mim, and then there's a handful of like 4 or 5-cost characters that could deal with it. I think there's a 3-cost alert character maybe that does it too. But that's only like 5 answers in an entire pool
Yeah.
of 207 cards. So not likely you're going to see a bunch of those. So if you're able to kind of
No.
deal with those and then slide in this evasive behind it, you probably get the quest for free for a while.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And speaking of core a little bit, I know we're talking about seals here. I am very curious to see if there's going to be something else other than lemon lime. I know we had our conversation about lemon lime, Blurple a little bit, the steel song. You had talked a little bit more about some emerald amethyst lists, or if anything. I'm curious about a ruby amber kind of a throwback to Red Fossa characters only list that includes the um, Boo cards and your Sully cards and your Boo Sully tag team card, and I'm really hoping that there's going to be some sort of, whether it's with the experiment that allows you to remove damage and decrease the cost. Ruben. I'm hoping with Ruben
Yes,
and
Ruben,
like the
the
Headless
ultimate
Horseman.
deep cheat.
And yeah, right. I think I'm hoping there's going to be some sort of list out there that very similar, where it maybe has a Webby's Diary in there to help with the card draw. See if there's something that could survive the onslaught of lemon lime decks. So, but
Great idea.
What are
Connor.
your
Let's look
thoughts
at
on
one? I
Emerald
found
Amethyst?
one from Humble, has a list of Ruby Amber. So thank you, Humble, for sharing this
nice.
publicly. This is Ruby Amber. It is not playing Ruben. It is not playing Willow. It is playing
Interesting.
Hercules to boost. It is playing Scrooge McDuck to boost and get massive.
Oh yeah,
Liquidator, Aladdin's, Augustine, mostly for the interaction with Gaston, which is 4 of in this list for removal. This list plays
would
4
absolutely include
Gastons
that.
and 2 World's Greatest Criminal Minds. Then it also has a new card, a 5-cost uninkable Sully, 4/4 with Bodyguard, quest for 1. When you play this character, you may return a character card from your discard to your hand. And then you layer on top of that the shift target, the tag team Sully and Boo, which is a 6-cost inkable, 6/5 quest for 2, combo shift for 4. You may pay 4 to play this on top of one of your characters named Sully, one named Boo, or one of each. There is no Boo in this list, but you are planning to just shift this on top of Sully. And then with the ability, the Power of Friendship. When this character is banished, if any cards that were underneath them are character cards, you may play those characters from your discard for free. So the loop you create is you play the Sully Bodyguard.
my gosh. Yeah.
Probably play it upright. You shift the Sully and Boo on top of it. You do whatever you want to do with that Sully and Boo. When that Sully and Boo gets banished, you bring back the Sully Bodyguard and you add the Sully and Boo back to your hand from your discard off of this trigger from the Sully the New Boss
That is an
character.
incredible
So now
loop.
you have this infinite loop you've created of Sullys and Sully and Boos. Pretty great to have that kind of value
love
engine
that.
available to you. For more challenging power and to try to just nuke out any locations you probably see, you have the 8/5 6-cost inkable Copper on the Scent, which is Rush and Reckless, but of 8 strength character on 6 is pretty incredible. And then you're playing your Olaf Snowman of Actions, which are 4/4 2-questers that are 9-cost inkables, but the cost to play them is reduced by 1 for every action in your discard. And when you play them, your opponent loses 2 lore, so you're clawing back lore the whole time. They also play Metal Dragons in this list, Humble does. And then the action package. You have 16 actions, 3
Okay, there's the
Ohana's
Webbies.
family to draw cards off of damaged characters, 3 Horseman Strikes to deal with your evasive threats, 4 Red Alerts, which we already talked about in the sealed portion of tonight, which is a banish a card, and you have the extra clawback of lore because you have your Sullies and Sully and Boos, 4 Raging Storms, and 2 World's Greatest Criminal Minds to make 16 total actions, most of which you are wanting to play and not ink because they are removal, or they are card draw, which you probably don't want to ink either of those in a game of Lorcana. And then beyond that, you're playing Scrooge's Counting House for another boost location. You can kind of hide behind those, keep boosting them up, and keep wiping the board with Raging the Storms as a win condition in some games you'll play. And then your draw engine is your item package. You have your medallion weights. If your opponent lets those stick around and you want to sink some ink into them, you can draw cards off of challenging with an extra 2 strength on your characters. And more importantly, the Webby's Diary, which is a 3-cost inkable item. If you're not familiar with it, you're going to hear about it, I'm sure. Whenever you boost a character, put a card under one of your characters or locations, you may pay 1 ink to draw cards. You're paying an ink for every card you're drawing and the boost cost to boost those characters. But if your plan is just to grow this giant Scrooge, then great. Keep boosting it, keep drawing. For 2 ink, you're drawing a card, which is relatively cost efficient. On top of the 3 ink you have to pay to play the item, and the 2 ink you have to pay to play the character of Scrooge. You also have your Aladdin, your Hercules, and your Scrooge's Counting House as all other boost options as well to continue to draw cards. I've seen this list draw a ton of cards. I think this list is going to be a reason people play item removal cards in the next core rotation or core constructed events. And I think Amber has all the good cards, so why not pair it with another good removal option and create this endless loop of Sullys and Sully and Boos? Konnor, what are your thoughts on this Amber Ruby list that you were clamoring for immediately prior to seeing this list?
Yes. I think that, I mean, again, I anticipated a little bit different of a lower end, but however, the upper end, with your Olafs, Maleficent, Gastons, and your Sullys, you can see or you can hear the second it clicked in my head, the infinite loop of like, oh, interesting. Sully allows you to bring something back from the discard. Oh, the other Sully lets you play something from your discard for free. And like I was like, oh my gosh, like you just ting, 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 you just play it over and over and over and over and over. That is hilarious. I love it because again, those kind of combinations are the fun part for me. I think being able to pull those off. I do think that with the Scrooge's Counting House being pretty important as we're boosting that up, it makes me wonder if people are going to start running any like location removal. I know we obviously with this list have copper, but there's a fair amount of locations and location synergies coming in, and so I'm wondering if there's going to be any people running location removals specifically. So your Casa Madrigals and your Sapphire lists, or the evasive location, if it has an evasive on it, the game preserve. Yeah, game preserve. So I'm wondering if there's going to be any location removal this set as well. So this is fun. I like this a lot. Again, the boost sometimes feels a little bit slow, but I'm very, very curious to test it out. Tonight has given me more ideas and less sleep, essentially.
Good. I'm glad. Who needs sleep? You can sleep later.
Right.
Any other lists you wanted to talk about before we wrap this episode up, Konnor?
Not really. Again, I think that we could sit here and talk about hypothetical lists for hours. And again, if any listeners out there have their own homebrewed list that you want us to take a look at, by all means, let us know. Leave it in the comments. The link to Dreamborn, or let us know, because we'd love to talk about it. Because again, I'm always open to looking and seeing what else is out there, what is someone building, and what is going to take the next rotation core constructed by storm.
It'll be interesting to find out, that's for sure. People much smarter and better at card games than me will figure it out. So I know that's a fact. I do want to add one other thing here as we're going into pre-release weekend. Enjoy the heck out of your limited events, your sealed events, your draft events, whatever you're getting yourself into this weekend. If you're able to get out and enjoy it, enjoy the heck out of it. It's one of my favorite times with the buzz of pre-release, the opportunity to play new cards that nobody knows what they do or has very little idea or very small inkling of what they may do. Just to play new cards and new combinations and have some fun with it in a community setting is always a blast. If you are more interested in learning more about limited format and how to evaluate cards and hear another person's perspective on card evaluation and specifically focused on the limited gameplay aspect of it, if you're listening to us and you have access to YouTube, feel free to check out the Mad Drafter on YouTube. I'll send a plug there because I've listened to his work for the last 4 sets, just because it's fun, interesting, engaging, interesting to hear a different perspective about a game type or game mode and limited that I don't get a whole lot of exposure to throughout the course of a set. And he does a great job with bringing it to an understandable level. So check that out if you have access to YouTube. I've had a great time with it, and I hope you do too. Otherwise, without any further ado, feel free to find us on all of our platforms. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts for these episodes. If you're listening in on any of those locations, you can also find us on Instagram and give our account a follow for some extra content that we post throughout that, with some of the pictures of the events we go to and results that we have with those. And feel free to leave us a comment and let us know what we got wrong. Feel free to suggest new ideas for us. Konnor loves brewing a good deck, so send him your ink color combinations, and maybe he can come up with something very particularly interesting for you to test out, and hopefully it works. And to be quite honest, Konnor, the stuff you put together is top notch. Unfortunately, a lot of times it doesn't work, and that's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of trial and error.
Absolutely.
Got to take a lot of errors to find the successes. So without any further ado, though, thank you all for listening. We love that you're still here listening with us, and let's get the duck out of here.